Hi, welcome to Straight Talk. You know, we always say on this show that the problem of drug and alcohol abuse doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anybody, anytime, and it does. White, black, rich, poor, famous, non-famous, it hits everybody. And the opiate and heroin epidemic is showing us how true that statement is. Today on Straight Talk, we've got somebody who in many of your homes is very famous. Celebrity, was an MTV star, a skateboarding champion, best-selling author, became very rich, but then he got addicted to heroin. And we're going to hear his story. His name's Novak. And I'm sure a lot of the people in your home, some of the young people probably know him from being in Jackass movies and MTV, and just, he had it all. And he got involved with heroin. And Brandon, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to take our time and talk about your story. I know you got a very big message to give out to a lot of people who have followed your career over the years, and it's an amazing story. So again, thanks for sharing. I mean, we know it's not easy to do sometimes, but you feel an obligation to do that, and that's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Thanks for.
So let's start at the beginning.
Cool.
You know, you grew up in Baltimore.
Yeah, born and raised in Baltimore. Mother still lives here in Little Italy.
Oh, that's great. That's great. How did you get involved? I mean, you started skateboarding young?
Yeah,
I mean, was skateboarding your big thing?
At the age of 7, my sister gave me my first skateboard. And the night my mother put me to bed, she said, "Brandon, what do you want me to do with the skateboard?" I said, "I want it in bed with me." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because if I die, I want it to come with me." It was like God had came down and handed me the Holy Grail in the form of a skateboard. The night I got that skateboard, I ate it, I breathed it, I slept it, I dreamt it. At 15, I became a professional skateboarder. You know, that was it. Like, you might be the best ping pong player in the world, but God might not see fit to put a paddle in your hand, you know? So therefore, schooling was not important, a plan B was not important, a trait was not important. Skateboarding was the deal.
That was it.
Yes.
And you just did it every day.
Every day, day and night, you name it, I was doing it. And at the age of 14, I was the first skateboarder ever to be endorsed by Gatorade.
Wow.
They were flying me out to Chicago, to the Quaker Oats building where they made Gatorade, and they'd put me on one treadmill and Michael Jordan on another treadmill, and they'd put wires down our noses and our throats, and they would give us each Gatorade to see the effects that it has on different sports players. At 15, I was touring the world with Tony Hawk and Bucky Lasik, another Baltimore-bred skateboarder, and designing my pro model for Pal Peralta. I had a private tutor that flew with me. And somewhere in between those lines, I fell victim to drugs and alcohol. But the thing with me is I was very successful at such a young age that people thought that, like, I really had a good head on my shoulders. And I did, but by the time drugs and alcohol got a hold of me and people realized the severity of my situation, it was like I was unsalvageable, if you will.
Yeah, sure. But here you were, traveling almost the world. I mean, you
Yeah.
were all over with the top skateboarders in the world,
Yeah.
in the country. And skateboarding at that point was probably just really blossoming. I mean, Tony Hawk was like, you know, like a god
Absolutely.
to many people. And here you were, part of that crowd at such a young age.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, again, given the time, drugs and alcohol were always there.
Yeah, and the thing was, I was a really young kid, and I always ran with older skaters. And there wasn't a lot of accountability in my work. You know, I didn't have a 9-to-5 that I showed up for. I didn't have a boss that I had to say, "Hey, I'm here for the day." My accountability was sending a video part out to California once a month, calling my team manager, which was in California. I wasn't the kid that had to be in when the street lights were on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and it was a fast life.
Exactly.
I mean, my God, it was probably all over the place.
yeah.
What did you start doing?
I had my first drink at the age of 8.
Yeah.
Smoked a little bit of weed afterwards. My story isn't one that says I lacked self-esteem, I lacked pride, I lacked the ability to make things happen. You know, I wasn't the kid that walked into class 20 minutes late in fear that everyone was staring at me. I walked into class 20 minutes late thinking that everyone was waiting for me. You know, I had opportunities, I had chances, and the thing is I lived with a cautionary tale. My father was a drug addict and an alcoholic. He died as a direct result of the disease of addiction, and I swore that I would never become him, and I hated drugs and alcohol because I saw what it made him do to me, to my mother, to my brother, and my sister. I actually excelled at everything I did to not become that man. But like you said in the beginning of the segment, the disease of addiction does not discriminate. From Yale or jail, the White House or the outhouse, the results are all the same, and 1 out of 5 people will be affected. My mother's a nuclear physicist on the board of Mercy Hospital. My brother's an attorney in the White House that practices pensions and benefits. You know?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, who would have predicted that?
No,
Right? For you.
No one saw it coming,
Right.
and more importantly, I didn't see it coming.
But it's a great example. We talk about addiction being a disease, it
Yes.
passes on, which might have been your
Yeah.
case. But it also talks about environment.
Yeah.
And the environment you live in, you play in, you work in, has such an impact. We talk about peer pressure, things like that all the time.
Yeah.
And obviously you were involved with a lot of peers who were getting high and drinking and having a good time. So you joined.
Yeah, yeah. I can give a lot of opinions of why I turned out the way I did. I want to believe that it was hereditary. My father was an addict, alcoholic. His father was an addict or an alcoholic. My brother and my sister were by a different man. My mother, my brother, my sister, no problem. I'm the only one by my father, and it seemed to come down the line.
Yeah,
I was
certainly
predisposed.
So you started drinking early.
Yeah.
Then
Then I got
Smoking
into
weed.
smoking weed, and then, you know, the progression had taken place.
Yeah.
Then eating pills, and do a little bit of cocaine. And then one day I went and sold a whole bunch of weed to somebody, and they were short on the money, and they gave me a $100 bag of heroin. I put it in my drawer. I forgot about it for about a month. One day I was going to get a pair of socks out of my drawer, and I found this bag of heroin. And I cut it up, I sniffed a line, and instantaneously I threw up. But instantaneously I fell in love, you know?
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's the story you hear.
Yeah.
People say, I got sick the first time I did heroin, but I couldn't stop. I had to do it
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah.
And how old were you at this age? This time?
That was 16 years old.
16.
So then around the time when heroin became very prevalent in my life, Pal Peralta had found out I was using drugs, heavy. And I got a phone call from Tony Hawk, my idol, my god, if you will. And the phone call went like this: Brandon, we have 2 options for you. We can put you into treatment, you can save your life, or you continue to be a professional skateboarder, or you can quit the team. Now, I had got my first skateboard at the age of 7, and I was going to be a professional skateboarder. Now at 16, I'm presented with this ultimatum: continue to be a professional skateboarder or go to rehab. I didn't have a breath of fresh air in my lungs when I said I quit. Because me being the addict, alcoholic that I am, any sentences that require me to be honest, reliable, or dependable, I tend to shy away from. And the reality is anything between me and that next bag, bottle, or pill must and will go, and it's not personal, it's business. It's par for the course in the game that we play called addiction.
And you quit.
Yeah, just like that.
Because heroin would, at that time, heroin was more important than
Yeah,
your career. Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know? And people watching are sitting there wondering how that can happen. But you just said, that's addiction.
Yeah, you know.
That's the choices an addict makes.
I wasn't a kid that put his hand up in 7th grade and said, you know what, Teach, I want to be a homeless heroin addict when I grow up, living on the streets of Baltimore City, selling my body on the corner of Eastern Avenue and Patterson Park for $40. That's what I want to aspire to be. No, that was not what I wanted.
No. We're talking with Brandon Novak, world famous skateboarder in movies, MTV. We'll talk about his book. He's been through heroin addiction. He's been through it. And now he's trying to help others and save some lives. And that's what we're doing here today on Straight Talk. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, and continue talking with Brandon. So stay with us. We're coming right back to Straight Talk.
Who helps a hero? Who tells the story of their scars? The freedom and safety of so many, of us all, is earned by the sacrifices of so few. Who helps a hero? We all do. The Gary Sinise Foundation works to support America's defenders and strengthen their families through entertainment, the construction of smart homes for our wounded heroes, and by inspiring and educating others to also support the veterans within their own communities. We enjoy the benefits of their sacrifice and service each day. Now it's time we serve them. Find out how you can help our heroes at GarySineseFoundation.org. While we can never do enough to show our gratitude to our nation's defenders, we can always do a little more.
calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
That's
Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're talking with Brandon Novak. He's a world famous skateboarder. He's an author. He's a celebrity. He's been in movies, MTV. There's someone in your house who probably knows about Brandon Novak. And now you're hearing another part of his story, which is his addiction to heroin and his recovery. And he's trying to share that message. And Brandon, again, thanks for spending this much time and getting the message out.
Yeah,
And telling your story. You know, we left it when you just started using heroin.
Yeah.
And we talked about that love that people get for heroin that the public doesn't seem to understand.
Yeah.
And then it must have just kept going.
It did. It continued to progress to places that I never thought I would enter. You know, I have the choice right now to pick up a drink or a drug, but God forbid I chose to act on that choice and pick one up. I'm not the kind of addict that has the privilege to choose when I put it down. It tells me when to go, who to go with, and what to do. You know, and that's the reality for an addict like me.
I hear you gave up this amazing career for heroin.
Yeah.
And then you got deeper. I mean, did this just
Yeah, well, it progressed, but the odd thing is I was pretty successful in a very sick state of mind, which only hurt me as opposed to help me. So after the skateboarding career was a wash, my delusional addict, alcoholic mind told me that the skateboarding world needs me. It cannot go on without me. I am an asset. In reality, it did not need me. It went on quite fine without me, and I'm a liability. But I'm the last person to see that. So then I trip and I fall into these movies, Jackass. I'm making a lot of money. I'm traveling the world. In theory and on paper, I'm a very successful individual. Did things in life that people equate to success or happiness, and that some even dream of doing. In reality, I can't keep a needle out of my arm. And now, just like that skateboarding world, the same thing happens with the Jackass world. Checks are now being diverted to my ex-fiance. The production company says, if we book him the flight, will he make the flight? Let's say we book him the flight and he makes the flight. What condition will he be in when he gets here? Let's say we book him the flight and he makes the flight. It's the same thing that's going to happen as it did last time, where we have to kick the bathroom door down in Paramount Studios and find him dead on the ground with a needle in his arm. You know? But my delusional alcoholic mind said, the Jackass world needs me. It cannot go on without me. I'm an asset. In reality, it did not need me. It went on quite fine without me. I'm a liability. Now, in between this time, I'm in and out of treatment centers. At this point in time, I'm probably at about 10 treatment centers. My mother has now bought me a plot. People have taken life insurance policies out on me. But I feel I would go into these treatment centers and I see it working for all those people, but it cannot work for me because I'm so internally unique. You haven't seen what I've seen. You haven't been through what I've been through.
I'm not like you.
No, I mean, after all, I would do appearances when I was in Jackass. I would do appearances in bars, and I would take pictures, I would sign autographs, and they'd say, what would you like in your green room on your rider? And I'd say some heroin, some cocaine, some Xanax, and some wine. They would get me those substances, and at the end of the night, they would give me a check for $10,000. So you people tell me my life's unmanageable. I believe my life is unmanageable, but my bank account seems pretty manageable. I now get paid to get high, if you will.
Yeah.
You know? So I have this delusional disease that tells me I don't have a disease on a daily basis. Follow me here. If you're diagnosed as an addict or an alcoholic, that disease left untreated equals death. It's fatal. That's non-disputing. It's a fact. But it's the only fatal disease that I'm aware of that on a daily basis tells me I don't have a disease. If you diagnose me with HIV, I'm rushing to the hospital to get medication. I don't want to die. fatal disease. Diagnose me with cancer, I'm rushing to the hospital to get chemo. I don't want to die, fatal disease. Diagnose me as an addict or an alcoholic, I need a glass of wine or a bag of heroin to figure out what's wrong with you for diagnosing me with said disease. Just as fatal as the first two diseases, but left to my own devices, I'll believe that I don't have the disease that lies to me in my own voice on a daily basis, and I'll get up from this interview and I'll go buy some heroin.
And that's your motivation.
Yeah.
And that's who's talking to you.
Yeah, because I couldn't get clean on my own, and I can't stay clean on my own.
And your success was your enabler.
Yes,
Whether,
yes.
You know, we talk about spouses and relatives being enablers. Yours was your success.
Yeah.
Your career was good.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm doing things that people equate to success or happiness. So at one point in time, I decided I'm not going to do any more treatment centers. That won't work for me. But I have a foolproof plan that will. You could strap me up to a polygraph, I would pass with flying colors. I'm going to move to Helsinki, Finland. It's literally across the world. They don't speak my language. I can go there, I can regroup, I can rebrand, I can reassess, I can reevaluate, I can redo life, and I'm going to do it. And I touched down in Finland. I go to a 5-star hotel because at a very young age, my mother told me, show me who you walk with, I'll tell you who you are, which later on bled into the fact that social acceptability equals personal recovery. What I didn't know then that I know now is I was filling this internal void with the external solution. So I go to this 5-star hotel. There's these businessmen in these expensive suits having meetings. I go right to the pub and I order bottle after bottle of wine. I meet a girl at the bar. She gives me a phone number. I'm having heroin delivered to me. I call my sponsor and I said, Lex, how did this happen? I was not supposed to use when I got to Finland. He said, I guess you skimmed over the part, Mr. Know-It-All, that geographical change does not equal recovery.
Right.
You can't shake your shadow. You take you with you everywhere you go. They talk about what triggers are. My triggers are when my eyelids open. I can justify why any time, place, or feeling makes sense to get high. And he said, let me tell you something else. The drugs and the alcohol are not your problem. That was like a shotgun blast to the head. What do you mean? I've given it my homes, I've given it my women, I've given it my sexuality, I've given it my family. I've just moved across the world. I thought if I physically just sat it down, I'd be better. He said, no, that's not your problem, that's your solution. Your problem is your thinking, your attitude, and your behavior, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Now here you are. I mean, you're at this point now where you're realizing everywhere you go.
Yeah, my walls are.
There is no geographical
No.
cure, no matter where you go.
Yeah.
How does it turn around for you?
So then I got to come up with something else to externally to make the internally feel better. So I decided I'm going to write a book. Not this book, the book that came out before this. At this point in time, I'm the first skateboarder to be endorsed by Gatorade. I've traveled the world with Tony Hawk. I've been in movies that break box office records, all while getting high. And now I'm going to write this book. And I have no GED. I have no high school diploma. I got that after my first book was published in prison. And the only reason why I took my GED in jail is because if you passed, you got a pizza party that was supplied by Domino's. And that's a no-brainer for somebody in prison. But I aced that test like a Harvard graduate because it was my idea. The reason why I did so bad in so many treatment centers, so many meetings for so long is because it wasn't my idea. Because I know everything, you tell me what I need to do, I tell you why you need to F off.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm going to write a book. I write the book gets published. Then it becomes a New York Times seller. I'm now a published author who's written a book on addiction. I'm receiving hundreds of thousands of pieces of mail from all over the world of people like you saying, I've read your book, I didn't want my story to get as bad as yours, I have 30 days. People like you saying, I read your book, I understand when my daughter picks the needle over coming to have dinner with me on the weekends. Not because it was a bad dad, because she suffers from the disease of addiction. I internalized that as I just came up with the 12-step program. You know,
Because it was yours.
Yes, I did
As long as
that.
it's
I'm
yours.
saving all
Right.
these people's lives, but I can't keep a needle out of my arm. So then the night my book signing is, my book's being released in Times Square at New York City, my literary agents are there, my publishers are there, my manager's there, all these well-to-do people in the scholarly world, but I don't have any heroin that day. And I didn't know then that I know now. It would not be a good look me sitting there doing an autograph signing on a book
Nodding
written about
out.
addiction while nodding out. But my disease of addiction doesn't
Right.
care. I don't have the privilege to say, hey, I have to work right now. I'll get back to you in 2 hours. That's the funny part of the story. Yeah. So when they wheel my books in, me and my buddy, we stand up in unified precision, and I steal 2 boxes of my books, he grabs 2 boxes, we leave the book signing, jump on a train, come right back here to Baltimore, and I autograph and sign them to 2 different stores. I'm now stealing my own addiction memoir books to go sell in Baltimore City to buy more heroin. How did I get here? That wasn't my plans, wasn't my intentions.
We know how you got here.
Yeah.
You know how you got
Have the disease of addiction doesn't discriminate.
And when did it end? I mean, when did you get in recovery?
So at the age of 35, I walked into my 13th inpatient treatment center. I just got off life support for 7 days. In theory, on paper, very successful individual. In reality, my worldly possessions consisted of 8 scarves, 2 jackets, 3 socks, 1 stick of deodorant that fit into a bag that doubles as a pillow, and 4 cigarette butts that I dug out of a receptacle. I found myself at a point in life where I wanted to kill myself on a daily basis, but I didn't want to hurt myself in the process. I was horrible at suicide because I kept waking up. I was at a place where I was so low the curb looked like a skyscraper. So I finally realized that the one thing that I do know is that I don't know. And my very best thinking, despite all the books, the movies, the skateboarding, my very best thinking got me walking into my 13th inpatient treatment center, begging for help. So what happened was it allowed me to get out of my way. The only thing blocking me from getting better was me. So I successfully completed that 90-day treatment center, went to a sober living house for 1 year, got a job washing dishes and waiting tables at a local diner, and you know.
That was a start.
Yeah.
When was this?
That
What
was March 25th, 2015.
Unbelievable. We're talking with Brandon Novak. We're listening to his amazing story of success, failure, addiction, recovery, redemption, the whole 9 yards. Something everyone goes through in this world of addiction.
Yeah.
And we're learning about it from somebody that's been there both sides. So we're going to take a short break, come back, talk with Brandon Novak some more, find out what he's doing now, because he's out there on a mission, and his mission is to help people. So stay with us. We're coming right back to Straight Talk.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org. Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're talking with an amazing man, Brandon Novak, who has been through addiction, has been successful, great skateboarder, actor, you name it. And now we hear about his drug story. And Brandon, again, thanks for doing this. And now let's really talk about why you're here,
Yeah.
which is what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
out there now telling your story, reaching out to people that need help. So tell us, what are you working on? What are
Well,
you doing?
we-
You wrote this amazing book, by the way.
I did.
We got to make sure we talk about
yeah.
that, too.
So the reason why I'm here is because statistics state, theoretical evidence dictates that I am to be high or dead right now. The fact that I'm not is A, miraculous, equaling miracle, and B, it defies logic. So what I want to let people know is that that addiction is not a death sentence. And as long as you're breathing, it's never too late, and your history does not have to dictate your future. And I'm sitting here with coming up on 3 years clean and sober talking to you. And I'm the same guy that at the end of my run, my mother had sold several houses, depleted several savings accounts. She had nothing left to give, so she went to God with one prayer. That prayer consisted of, please cure him, or kill me because I can't take it anymore. So don't tell me that recovery is not possible. Right. So now I've been afforded the opportunity to work with a premier treatment center called Banyan Treatment Center. We have facilities in Chicago, Boston, Florida, and 2 facilities in Pennsylvania, which we just opened, which is very near and dear to my heart because it's where I went to get sober. And now, you know, this thing is no longer an epidemic, it's a pandemic. Today in the nation, 174 people will die as a direct result of an opioid overdose. It's worse than the AIDS outbreak, it's worse than World War III. The sad thing is these deaths are all preventable. So I will do whatever it takes to help a mother not to have to attend her son's funeral tonight.
And you're doing it. And so what do? You're other than you're going out and you're promoting this treatment center so that people have help.
Yeah.
You wrote a book so people can learn about it. You're going out and speaking probably, everywhere.
Yeah, from here I go to Texas to speak at A&M College. I have 3 more books coming out. This is the second book that just came out. I have the first ever addiction graphic novel coming out, and then I have a documentary entitled Where's My Needle, which is all about me, you know, as a kid, me using, and now the rebirth of me. Because here's the deal, now I have 2 phones, and when the one rings, the phone call goes like this: Novak, if you can get clean, there's no reason why I can't. Can you help me? Because I was that addict that was deemed unhelpable or unfixable. You can see it in the books, the tabloids, all over the internet.
Get your phone number up there now.
610-546-2608. Call
directly
me,
to you.
personally to me, and we will figure out how to help you. And I will do whatever it takes, me and my team will do whatever it takes to get you the help that you need. Because there's a solution here. There is a solution.
Yeah, here's your book.
Yeah.
Up on the screen.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Bestseller book.
I'm very proud of that. You know, people always said, "How are you not dead? Why are you not dead?" And the reason, I believe I went through what I went through to do what I do now. My defects have become my biggest assets with the slightest change of perception. So now when people call me up, they say, if you can get clean, there's no reason why I can't. Because there's some substance to my story. It's tangible. A little bit different than a 50-year-old professor reading out of a textbook giving a bunch of theories or hypotheses of what may or may not happen. They're like, so I can use who I was prior to sobriety, in sobriety, to get through to people that can't see past that bag, bottle, or pill. You know, I get it. I understand why it makes more sense to get high than to want to get help.
That's the whole thing.
I
That's the whole
understand.
thing. Brandon Novak, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we can't say enough how important it is to have people like you, who were role models to kids, to young people, went through tough time, bouncing back, giving back to the community, giving back to people, showing there's hope.
Speaking
recovery.
Of giving back to the community, go to banyantreatmentcenter.com, Roots to Recovery. We're offering scholarships, free treatment to anybody suffering.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for watching Straight Talk. This is a special edition with Brandon Novak. Please get help if you need it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.